Hey, Jeannie. It's
Hey,
just you and me so far.
looks
Uh,
like it.
how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Oh, it was tough getting back started this week, wasn't it?
It
Back
really
to
was.
work, yes. Hey, Tawana. Can you hear me, Tawana? She must not. Hey, Tawana.
Hello.
Hey, I didn't know if you could hear me or not. How are you?
I'm doing well. I don't know. I just hit myself and I don't know how to unhide myself.
We're, listen, that when Dr. Lamb comes on, he knows how to
Oh,
mute
there it is.
whatever. So you'll be okay. He'll take care of it then. But I've learned a lot from him. I came up during I'm one of the baby boomers that was always scared of technology, and I felt like if I touched it, it was going to take me into cyberspace somewhere. I've learned a lot. Um, Online teaching makes you learn a lot. So you come out of your comfort zone for sure. Luana, how was your Easter break?
It was good. How about you?
Well, um, I've retired from the public schools, but you know, just I worked a lot during the week, but I still took a break from things.
Our school actually, our teachers get 2 weeks, but admin only gets one, so I'm back to work this
Oh,
week.
you're back to
Oh,
work.
wow.
Okay. But sometimes that's good because you can get things done that you can't. I always enjoyed that
Yeah.
because, I felt like I could actually do something without somebody always standing at my door, needing
Yep.
assistance from something. So I took advantage of that. So that's good.
Yep.
Okay. Now, where's your school, Tawana?
I'm
Well,
in Charlotte. I'm in a charter school.
you're in a charter school, okay. Okay. And with charter schools, there is a little more flexibility with scheduling and things of that nature. So the 2 weeks, they can get by with things sometimes that
Breaking up.
public schools cannot. Yeah, that's okay. And Jenny, where's your school again? Jenny, where?
I'm in Perquimans County.
Perquimans, right. Perquimans. You are,
Yes.
that's far, far north from me. When I was a high school principal, we used to travel up in that area when we were in the playoffs for baseball or things of that nature. So I have traveled up in your area before. Now, are you near um, what is that near Elizabeth City State up in that area?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I
Yes.
thought.
Perquimans
Okay,
is the next county over.
okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Mhm.
Now on my end, yeah, it's recording now on my end. So we've got 36 that have joined in with us at this point. So
Yeah.
did you get my email today?
Yes.
Okay, about just I did that was just a quick reminder. You already knew what we were going to talk about, but that was just a quick
Yeah,
reminder.
I'm opening it up right now.
Okay.
I'm opening it up right now.
Did you get my other email? I mean, my other text message about or email about speaking to Seth tomorrow if you get a chance?
Yep.
Okay. I just know he's not always in there, and I just needed to go ahead and be able to figure out something.
Yeah, I'll be there tomorrow. I'll follow up with him on that.
Okay. Tell me when you're ready.
Well, you just whenever you're ready, I'm going to have the
Okay.
iTel pulled
Okay.
up.
Okay. Well, you go ahead and let me talk to the people. We've got 38 participants, so I'm going to go ahead and move on. First of all, welcome back after a couple of weeks being away. I hope all of you had a good spring break. at least away from the busyness of work. I know you had a lot to do still, but at least away from the busyness of work. We've got a lot to cover tonight, so I'm just going to go ahead and just get to the point. I've this past Sunday night, first of all, the your first class, that the APSL and the APTEL, they have been designed with the fact in mind that Dr. Lamb and I, or whomever, are going to stay behind you. They're going to push you. We're going to be behind you. There's a lot of rigor in this first semester, and it's by design. And we told you that from the very beginning. And we did tell you that when you got through with this class and you went into 603, and we even told you that we would begin with the APTEL, beginning we would start cutting the apron strings a little bit and giving you a little more freedom and not stay behind you as much, but we would still have to stay behind you. But that when you got in 603, that a lot of the guided direction that we're giving you, that you would have to become much more independent. So that is not going to stop until this semester's over with, because we've got to make sure that you've got a good solid base, good foundation to be able to complete the rest of this program. With that being said, if you have been one of those students that have you've joined in for the most part all of the sessions, you've done your work on schedule, you've done I just want to commend you and I want to thank you. And sometimes you have to hear things that doesn't necessarily apply to you. So if this doesn't apply to you, then you just listen and just say, that doesn't apply to me. The work that I received that was supposed to have been turned into me by Sunday night, and that will stop next semester. There won't be as much as specific deadlines. There will be deadlines, but not specific deadlines like it has been this semester. But we have to do it this semester. If we didn't do it this way, then many of you would not be able to complete the program on schedule. So it's by design. There's some things that are not okay, and if it doesn't apply to you, then please forgive me. And I just want to thank those of you that have followed the directions, those of you that have done what you're supposed to do, those of you that even when it comes to giving feedback on your work, you take it in stride. And I know that sometimes you take a deep breath and you say, oh God, there it comes again, or maybe, but you've taken it in stride and you've made it a learning experience for the most part. Some of you have taken it personally, and you've got to learn that in this business, going into administration, you cannot take feedback and things of this nature, take it personally. If there's, and sometimes I'll miss it. When I'm looking at 60 some different students work in a day or in 2-day period, my eyes will grow weary, and I'll miss it sometime. I'll be the first to admit it, and it's okay to point that out to me. But please know that if I give you feedback, if I send something back, it's because I only want the best for you. I want you to be good administrators, and I want you to if there anything, I want the quality of your work to be what it needs to be. Now, Dr. Lamb and I, our job is to make sure that at a minimum that you're proficient in this program, and that means that you do what you're supposed to do to complete this course of study. But it's your responsibility to go beyond that. Proficiency means that you're doing what you're supposed to do. Sometimes it can be above par, but for the most part, it's going to be par work. But if you're going to be accomplished in this program and in the profession, then ultimately it's left up to you. So, our job is not every time, my job is not to make sure that your work is accomplished while I will try to help you get there. it's your responsibility to make sure that your work is accomplished. And if you're not striving for accomplished work, then, I have to be honest with you, and Dr. Lamb and I have had this conversation just this week. Having been a principal, having been a superintendent working at that level, both of us, we're always, when we're working with people, we're looking for quality people that we know can take the reins and that they can take over a school or they can work at the central office and that they will be effective. So, I have to tell you, at this point, there's some of you that I would hire immediately. There's some of you that I would have to think about it, Dr. Lamb, because you haven't proven to me at this point that you're at the level that I would want you at my school or I would want you in the central office working for me. That doesn't mean that you don't have the skills. That doesn't mean, but you've got to take it up a notch. And I hope that, for the rest of this semester, next semester, and the semester after that, I hope that you will take what I'm saying, take it seriously. Don't take it personally, take it seriously, and realize that you're preparing for the rest of your career. This is a stepping stone for the rest of your career, and you should want it to be the best. I've used this example before. If you've got to go to a doctor, you don't want to go to a medical doctor that is just proficient. You want a doctor that is accomplished in their practice. The same thing with an attorney or anybody else in the professional realm, and that's the way I perceive you. I want all of you to be accomplished in what you do. So if you think that I come across strong sometime, or if when my feedback, again, it's by design. I'm supposed to do that, and I'm not going to do that. Some of you need to pick up your game plan. Some of you need to take this a little more seriously, or a lot more seriously. And if it's you know who you are. Please pick up the speed. Take what you're doing more seriously, and I need to see that in the quality of work that's coming in. Mediocre work is not acceptable, and I just don't like. There's a handful of you that need to pick up your pace, and again, you know who you are. Dr. Lamb, is there anything that you need to say relative to that before we move on?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, and again, I hope that you take what I'm saying seriously. I'm not going to back off. Dr. Lamb, you would fire me if I did back off, wouldn't you?
I would.
So I'm going to do my job, and I'm going to push you until the very end. And please know that. Again, don't take it personally. Just know that that's what I want the best for you. With that in mind, Dr. Lamb, I will tell you that the draft of the APTEL came in Sunday night, and some of it came in Monday. But at this point, and except for a couple of people, everybody is accounted for. Many of you have already, your work is to the place that I told you that it was okay to go ahead and submit it to the assignment Dropbox. And, again, please be reminded that once it's in the assignment Dropbox, if there's changes that need to be made, or you see some things that can be done differently based on feedback from your peers, the peer reviews, or you even think about something, you can always open that back up, do the work, and resubmit it, and I can look at it a second time, and all you've got to do is to tell me that. Know this too. When I tell you that it's excellent work or very good work or it looks good or whatever, that doesn't mean that I might not miss something. Again, my eyes get very tired sometimes, and so I may miss it. So when you go through the peer review process, and that's the whole purpose of it, the peer may see something that I didn't see, and that's okay. If you send it to Dr. Lamb may see something, or Dr. Hamlin, that I didn't see. That's why other eyes need to look at your work. So if your peers recommend something or they see something, then, that is, again, that's the whole purpose of it. And it's okay to go back in and quote. You don't have to change the whole thing. Just fix something if it needs to be fixed. But with that, Dr. Lamb, I'm not going to go back into task 1. We just need to look at task 2, what the requirements are from this point on. At this point, they should have done their literature review, and they should have 2 different instruments. One that looks at the teacher in the classroom setting, and then one that refers back to the research. And I think the example that you used was actually Whitaker's. You used Todd Whitaker's research, and you listed 5 examples of how the teacher perceives themselves and how they look at things outside of that classroom in the school environment. Now, some of you, I had to send it back, and I said, your instruments are the same. Both of them look at the teacher in the classroom. Remember, it's 2 different things. It's one, you're looking in the classroom, you're looking outside the classroom, and the one outside the classroom mainly is looking at their perception of things. It relates back to the research that you did on teacher efficacy and actually how they feel about themselves in the total school environment and being a part of what's going on. Dr. Lamb, you need to say something at this point?
No, I've just got, I've got Whitaker on the screen, and I've got Marzano that's inside and Whitaker's outside. Let me remind you again, these are not the only 2 examples.
Right.
These are just 2 examples that clearly demonstrate the different types of empowerment. Empowerment as a school leader is roles outside the classroom. Empowerment as a classroom leader are roles or competencies that you use or best practices inside the classroom. We're trying to get you to understand that in good schools that are about teaching and learning, where the culture is teaching and learning, that the reward system for good teaching involves allowing the teacher to step outside of their classroom and assume leadership roles throughout the building. We can't differentiate pay and pay our best teachers more. The idea is to create a culture where teachers strive to be the best teachers they can be because they're rewarded with leadership roles throughout the building. So we're trying to get you to understand that there is a correlation here. There is a correlation between good teaching and leadership, and there's a correlation between striving to be the best teacher and a reward system and setting a culture where everybody strives to be a great teacher because they know that they will be rewarded with leadership roles outside their classroom. I'd like to be able to say to you that all teachers strive to be the best teachers they can be. That is not the case. You must create that environment. And to do that, you must understand the correlation between rewarding people and motivating people. People need to be rewarded in order to motivate them. You can't beat on them all the time and expect them to be their best. There has to be some carrot and some stick. And that's what we're trying to get you to learn here.
Okay. And Dr. Lamb, in task 1, remember that you did a literature review and that there were 5 different areas that you researched: building efficacy and empowerment among staff, the results-oriented professional development, et cetera, et cetera. You did the research in task 1. In task 2, you're actually going to look at those same areas, and this time your responsibility is, okay, in task 1, what does the research say? What the research says that this is what it should look like. In task 2, you're going to look at, again, it goes back to interviewing your principal, your administration concerning the walkthroughs that they do in the school. What do they see? What do they say? What does the data prove? Again, it can go. You can interview administration. You can look at actual data that they have. But in task 2, you're going to identify the gap, what should be happening in task 1 and what is actually happening in task 2. You're looking at what is actually happening. So you're going to take each of those 5 areas. Building advocacy and empowerment among staff is the first one under prompt 1. Okay, you talked about it in task 1. In that area, what is actually happening in your school? Results-oriented professional development. You talked about it in task 1, but in task 2, what is actually happening in your school environment relative to that? The third item is recruitment, placement, and mentoring of school staff. Again, you talked about it in task 1. What is actually happening in task 2? Based on what you said should be happening in task 1 and what is happening in task 2, you're identifying the gaps. You're identifying any weaknesses, any problems that are occurring in your school. The fourth one, approaches to and for evaluation of school staff. What is happening what is happening based on the research, and then what is actually happening in task 2. You're going to determine any weaknesses or any problems in that area as well. And then the last one, teacher leadership and decision making. And that really is a big one. Again, that goes back to the teacher working conditions survey, because that one is addressed a lot in that area as well. What does research say should be happening in task 1? But when you get into your school, when it comes to teacher leadership and decision making, what is actually happening? So that is what you're going to do with those. You're going to go back and address those same 5 areas, but this time you're going to look at actually what is happening in your school. Dr. Lamb, any comments on that?
No.
Okay. Prompt 2. Prompt 2 is, you talk about it in prompt 1. In prompt 2, you're actually going to graphically represent the information in the forms of charts, tables, graphs, etc. These visuals are to be used to illustrate and support the data analysis and conclusions expressed in the needs assessment based on the gap analysis. In other words, you're telling me all this stuff, but now you're going to prove it. This is where you're going to prove it. You're going to prove to me based on the, okay, just like the survey instrument that you have, or where you're looking at those little 5 questions that you may ask about, how do teachers feel if they're involved in the decision-making process, et cetera, et cetera. You're going to actually use the results of that. You're going to talk about it in prompt 2. You're going to show the results. If you do SurveyMonkey or you send it out that way, then it will generate a report for you. But you're going to graphically talk about the results. If what does the data show? What does it look like in your school? You're going to talk about it in prompt 2, and you're going to show it. In prompt 1, and you're going to show it in prompt 2. Prompt 1, you write about it. Prompt 2, you visually show what you're talking about. Dr. Lamb, any other comments on that?
I've got 2 little graphic organizers here that would be where you would show your data. Now, we would expect that you might go a little bit further and do a pie chart or a bar graph or something. But what I'm showing you here on the screen this would be like your data sheet where you did your calculations. You counted how many teachers said yes, they have input on staff development, and then you would do a checklist, of strategies in the classroom. How many of them are using those strategies? Then you would take these rough data sets and you would graphically display the information from them. I would expect that you would go beyond these. Now, I don't have an example because we want you to determine how you would best display this data for the audience that you are serving, who you're presenting it to. It might be in the form of a PowerPoint. It might be a pie chart, might be a bar graph, but you need to calculate the data first. You need to add it all up. And then you need to convert it into some sort of a visual that kind of jumps out at us where we can visually see what you're telling us, the point that you're making. But it's a two-step process. One, you have to have a data collection sheet, or what we call a data sheet in the business, where you calculate all the scores, and then you then you visually represent that data in some form of a visual. It should go beyond just your data collection sheet, and that's what's on the screen. So when we say data is graphically represented in narrative forms of charts, tables, and graphs, that's what we're talking about. This is simply data collection sheets here. You need to go a step further, and most of you do. I see a lot of pie charts. I like those.
They're easy to understand.
Yeah. You did this in the in the app cell you did this. You showed us your data.
Dr. Lamb, one of the things that and this does not exclude any narrative work in this. For instance, if I think it was Nathaniel that said that his principals talked to him about, if you interview, then the interview process could also be included impromptu as well. So there may be some narrative work in along with any of the charts and graphs, et cetera, that you put impromptu. Am I correct, Dr. Lamb, in saying that?
Yes.
Yes. You can, if you interview, because at least one student said that was how their administration wanted to do it. They wanted to talk to them about the walkthrough process at their school.
Yeah.
So that would come in the form of an interview. Again, please be reminded, you should always for every task that you do, task 1, task 2, it may not apply, but if it is applicable, then you put a reference section in there. For every one of them, if it is applicable, you include your appendices, and for everything you do, you should always provide, at least at a minimum, evidence that you are continuing to work with your established PLC or with your administration. So please be reminded of that. Pretty much, Dr. Lamb, that's all there is to task 2.
Yep, that's it.
Let's move on to task 3. Now, once you put all this data, you're going to talk about the gap analysis in task 2 in prompt 1 and 2. You're going to show it. Once you talk about it, then again, you've identified we've got some weaknesses in our school. We've got some areas that we need to work on, areas that need to be improved, and that is what task 3 is all about. Now, if you will look on Dr. Lamb on the screen that Dr. Lamb has in front of you, you'll see how many areas: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 10 areas, beginning with a vision for positive school environment. Okay, that is going to be your subheading, and underneath that, and we talked about this 2 weeks ago, you're simply going to do a narrative about what is the vision for a positive school environment for your school. You're looking at your school based on what the research says in task 1, what you actually see in task 2. You're going to look at what is the vision for positive school environment for your school. You're beginning, you're narratively working on what is going to go into your action plan. The same thing, documentation to support the identified needs. You've identified needs. Documentation means how are you going to back up these needs? What support is there? and and the areas, Dr. Lamb, we clearly went over all of this before. Do you think it's necessary to go over each one again, or do you think
we covered that pretty well 2 weeks ago?
And it's in the Zoom video that has been placed. I think it was in week 9. And it was sent to you as well. All of that information is in there, and we went over it several times. Just remember, it's a narrative for each of these 10 areas based on developing a workable plan for your school.
Okay.
And
please
then, do what, Dr. Lamb?
Please remember that you're writing the plan out in narrative form, and that same plan is then represented in that graphic organizer. I had students that said, well, it seems like it's the same information. Well, duh, it is the same information. One is it's in a graphic organizer that we would use when we went to put our plan in place. The other is the written rationale. We write it out longhand, and then we summarize the same information in those 10 bullets, goes in that graphic organizer. It is the same information, but it's represented or visually presented in 2 different ways. You have different kinds of learners, just like in our classes here, we have different kinds of learners. People learn different ways. Me, I want the graphic organizer. I want it to say who's going to do what, where, when, and why. I don't need all the narrative that goes along with it. Other people don't understand graphic organizers, and they learn by reading your narrative. This is an example of knowing your audience, understanding adult learning theory, that you're going to present this to a group of adults. They don't all learn the same way.
And I'm probably the opposite. You figured that out, I'm probably the narrative person.
We won't hold that against you.
No, but again, that is, and when I say that's it, I'm not trying to minimize the responsibility here, but that is it to task 3. And again, you go back to your reference section if it's applicable, and you go back to your appendices if it's applicable as well. But again, you're looking at a plan, a workable plan, and in this as well, you need to provide evidence that you are working with your school improvement team. I mean your PLC, and you need to make sure that you have support and you have presented to your administration with this as well. So there needs to be evidence in this that it's not a me thing, but it's a we thing. You need to be working with your team and with your administration on this. Anything else, Dr. Lamb, on that?
Nope.
Okay, let's move down to task 4, because I will have some that will be, by next week, they probably will be there. And again, Dr. Lamb, can you take it from here on task 4, because that kind of ties into what you're going to lead into with the task stream requirements as well.
All right. The 9 competencies that you didn't do in the app cell, you will do them now. Here are the 21. You just simply go back and look at what you did in the app cell. The 12 that you did there, that means 9 are left. And you go in and you write your competencies, how you and your team met each of these competencies. Let me caution you. I shouldn't see each one of them each one of the descriptions of what you did start with I. It's okay to have some I's in there, but we need to make sure that you understand that you did this collaboratively, that you had a team of people that you were leading. Remember, this is a leadership program. This is not an I program. This is about leadership. Did you lead your team through these things to accomplish these competencies? Not just did I do it, did you lead your team through this?
And don't refer to yourself I anyway. Make sure you always refer to yourself as the candidate.
So that's what we want to see here. That's pretty cut and dry. All right. task stream. All right, now, once you have this 9 written, you will have all 21 written this semester. The first 12 were written in AppSell Task 5, and the last 9 were written in the AppSell Task 4. So 12 and 9 are 21. You will have accomplished all 21 of your competencies this semester. So at that time, you will go to Task Stream and you will copy and paste the written description that you provide us on how you and your team accomplished these 21 competencies. You will go to the 601 section in Task Stream under Competency Analysis, and you will copy and paste these descriptions into the boxes provided. Let me do that for you now. All right, I'm going to close some things. Sign into your Task Stream account. Click on your DRF, be Spring 18, and under Smell 601, you've got Competency Analysis. I'm assuming everybody can see this on my screen.
We can.
You click on Competency Analysis. You have View Edit Your Responses. Click on that. All right. And you tell us that you met it, and you copy and paste into the provided text boxes. You must rate yourself, and you simply copy and paste the description of how you met your competencies from AppSell Task 5 and AppTel Task 4. You simply copy and paste them in here. Now, when you get to the end, there's going to be 2 additional ones here. Now, don't be the person that sends me an email and says, I can't find these 2. You are to write them now. This is kind of the summary of what you did in the AppSell and the AppTel. This is kind of the summary of how you met these competencies. Knowledge of curriculum and knowledge of assessment. Which one of these 2, the AppSell or the AppTel, did you gain a knowledge of curriculum? You better say AppSell. Which one of these did you gain a knowledge of assessment? You better say AppTel. It kind of summarizes all the things that you should have learned during the time that you spent on the AppSell and the AppTel. And you write us a brief description. Now, again, I want to see you generalize this beyond yourself. What did you and your team learn during this process? What did you learn in terms of knowledge of curriculum? Think about how much curriculum work you did in the AppSell. You did all that research. You did that annotated bibliography. And it was all about curriculum, about programs to address an academic need. It was about finding a curriculum that would work for you. You did all this assessment work in the AppTel, where you did survey work, where you did walkthrough. You did all this data collection for the purpose of an assessment of where your school is. That was the whole point, was assessment. So these 2 questions are overall questions based on summarize the competencies that you gained from doing the AppSell, which is knowledge of curriculum, and the AppTel, knowledge of assessment. So there is no copy and paste on these 2. This is a summary. Once you have done this, you have completed your competency analysis. Let me move this out of the way. What you will do then, of course, is you will save and return, and you will OK and submit your work. You will click on Submit Work, and it will tell you You sure? And you'll say yes. And you can close the window. And it will come through for one of us to look at that and grade it. Now it will be a met or not met. And we'll look at that competency analysis. But this will should conclude the work for your semester in terms of you'll still have to make sure your APTEL is submitted and goes through Turnitin and all of that, but you put it together. You should have already done your School of Ed dispositions. You can do them at any time. Again, if you've not done them, do them now. It's just 6 buttons. Just 6 times that you've met expectations you believe, save and return and submit. You can do that anytime. And once you complete your competency analysis, as soon as you're through the task stream process on the APTEL, you'll be done this semester.
Dr. Lamb, there's several that have not been done, so they need to go ahead and take care of that because I went in and looked this weekend.
Yeah, I did too. Now, I have it on my schedule. Let me look while I'm looking at my calendar. On the 19th, that's 9 days from now. On that Thursday, the 19th, I am going to start with the OMA for next semester. What that means is you can go ahead and get a jump start on it in the break in between. Understanding that you're in an add-on licensure program. You will have 9 tasks to do this summer, just like you did this spring. The only difference being is you'll have 6 less weeks to do them. Let me say that again. You'll have 9 tasks this summer, but you will only have 10 weeks. You better be rolling.
Dr. Lamb, can you hear me, Dr. Lamb?
Yeah.
You said the 19th. I'm going to leave this up to you, but you can actually do it next Tuesday if you want to instead of the 19th. I'll be okay because they're at a place where they just need to be sending me work and I need to be grading work. So we could actually use next Tuesday if you wanted to.
We can do next Tuesday and skip next Thursday then.
Let's do next Tuesday on schedule. And that's what we'll do next Tuesday.
All right. Our schedule called for it next Thursday, but it won't hurt for us to be 2 days ahead. So next Tuesday, I'll do that then rather than next Thursday. That'll give you another night off from being online with us and help you to utilize your time wisely. So somebody typed in, "Oh my God." Yeah, oh my God. Prayer helps, I'm telling you. But now, as I was reminded yesterday, you have to be careful with prayer now. I was praying yesterday that my 3rd meeting of the day would be canceled, and about that time I got an email and my 3rd meeting of the day was canceled. And I was like, yes, God answers prayers. Thank you. But unfortunately, it meant that one of my colleagues had gotten sick and couldn't come to work for the meeting. So sometimes there's consequences to our prayers, but God does answer prayers. But you know, He also helps those that helps themselves. So the idea here is you've got 2 weeks between the end of this semester and next semester. That's 2 weeks that you could be spending wisely. So I'll just leave it at that. I'll cover this material with you and give you the opportunity to get a jump start on the summer session because you're going to need it. All right, another. At least I won't have a new class to teach while doing this. That's true. A word of caution. I know how busy it's going to be when this semester starts and when the summer semester starts on the 21st of May. I know that's about the time that teachers go into review mode for testing. And so I fully anticipate that the first 2 weeks of the summer session are going to be really tough on you with testing and review for testing. Those of you that are in public settings, I know how stressful that is. So that's another that's another argument for trying to get started the 2 weeks that we're off. Go ahead. Now, Dr. Stedman and I don't take time off. We will be available. The intern shells will still be up where you can submit work for us to give you comments on. You can continue through your intern shell. You can continue to do peer reviews, written peer reviews. I mean, you can continue right on. You just switch over from your class shell to your internship shell. And so that's one of the reasons why we have that clinical shell. As we've told you, the clinical piece does not stop with semesters. It just keeps right on rolling. Evidence artifacts just keep right on rolling. And we have the same functions in the intern shell as we do the class shell. You can upload work for peer review. You can upload it for us to review. You can keep right on going in your intern shell, and we answer those and grade those daily, just like we do the class shells. So there's no excuse. We don't stop when the semester does. We don't worry about that kind of thing. We'll both be available during that 2-week break. We'll both be grading and commenting every day. And if you're smart, you'll get a jump on 603 work. So if we go back and look at, let me get out of this. There was a question about uniform fonts when copying and pasting. That's immaterial. We don't mind that to the person that asked that question. So let me get out of this one.
Dr. Lamb, there was one question about what they needed to do to submit their work with their internship work this semester.
Oh, okay. That's a good question. And that's why I came back out. Please remember, your internship log is not submitted in the DRF portfolio. That's for when it's done. Let me say that again. Where it says internship log in your DRF portfolio, that's you upload the final copies at the end of the program. For us to comment on the work that you've done this semester, you come to your folios and web pages, go to your competency folio, and down at the bottom of it, you submit your log and request comments. You do this semester, next semester, and then in the fall, you will submit it for evaluation in your DRF portfolio. I hesitate to show you that because somebody will be watching the video and only see that piece and go in and submit there. You do not submit your internship log until the last semester when you have all 3 semesters done. Then you submit them for evaluation in the DRF portfolio. Prior to that, this semester and next, you will simply submit it for comments in your competency folio. And then, once you have it completed, then and only then do you come to the DRF portfolio, click on internship log, upload and submit work. That submit work should be your clue that, oh no, I'm not to do that yet, I'm not done. Once work is submitted, you know that you can't take it out. I have to go in and send it back. Don't poke the bear. Don't make me do extra work. All right. So that's competency analysis. That's internship log. Let me quickly go to So in Blackboard, you know this, in Blackboard, you will have under my courses, you will have a clinical internship shell, and it will say Mel's clinical internship, and it will have either my last name or Dr. Hamilton's last name. And we will continue to, I have access to both of those, and I think Dr. Stedman does. If he doesn't, I'll make sure he does. But
I do.
We will continue. If you look, it looks just like your class shell. You can go into OMA Tasks for Review and upload your task for our review. Oh, that's good to know. There's one missing there. I'll have to put it in. All right. Dr. Stedman, I'm done.
Okay, and that's it. That's it. I
All
just
right.
need to, those that have work that they need to resubmit for me, I need to see it as soon as possible so that I can get you going on to task 2. You need to get task 1 finished so you can get on to task 2 and get this work done. So just get it to me as quickly as possible.
All righty.
But that's it, Dr. Lamb.
All right. I'll see everybody next time. When we
Okay.
coming back on next Tuesday? That's the next time
Tuesday.
we're on?
Next Tuesday at 7 o'clock, yes.
All righty. I'll see everybody then.
Okay, good night, everybody.
All right.